Are you in it? You better make sure you're in. Hey guys, messing around with cameras again. Just making sure that we are good. Facebook is bringing you guys on. And we got some people hopping on now. Yeah, send us some love. Send us some thumbs up. Thank you, Yvette, for coming on and giving us some thumbs up and letting us know that you're on here. I appreciate it. Guys, as you're jumping on, come on and say hi to us. Say hi and hello and give us some thumbs up. Send us a love button. Thank you. Whoever's sending that love. Sometimes it doesn't pop on and show who you guys are. So it might be good to type something in the comments box just to say hi to us and so that we know you're there. We get a little bit, but not a whole lot. So we are happy that you guys are spending some time with us today, and we know your time is valuable, and we appreciate that you chose the next, 30, 45 minutes to be here with us. We really appreciate it. So thank you. Thanks, Yvette. Yeah. Mwah.
Welcome.
Yeah, much love and many blessings to all of you that are hopping on. And I'm like looking at two different cameras. I'm going to do my best to. Are you sure you're in this one as well?
I think it's okay.
Oh.
We'll find out.
Okay. I'm like moving your camera around.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not sure what that...
Okay. All right. Well, we don't want to take too much time messing with the cameras. We're here today, guys. I'm here with my good friend again, Rich Haas, and he is the author of Sacred Quantum Metaphysics. And you can find the book at his website, sacredquantummetaphysics.com. Or you can go to Amazon or Kindle. The book is available both there as well. And you can start reading it right away on Kindle if you want. And yes, we know the title is backwards, but we don't have any other options because, Facebook has the camera facing us like a selfie instead of the other way around. So we have no options here. But yeah, glad to be here again with you. This is our third one, right?
Third one, yes.
Third one, and we're covering the different chapters in your book. And today we are talking about the Akashic records,
Yes.
which I'm excited about. Before we get started, though, is there something that you want to say? I kind of feel like you have something on your mind.
Well,
you want to say.
when people are thinking about reading the book, I'm excited because Jefferson County Library in Colorado just purchased 4 of them, and they're on the shelf, so anybody in any part of the nation can get the copy of that to read it via the prospector system. So if you don't have money and you need these insights, then there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
And the Akashic records, in case people are unfamiliar, is a term that's been around for thousands of years. Edgar Cayce and his amazing medical cures, popularized the name. So what it is actually a field that where all knowledge is stored, and you can get any answer that you want to about yourself or science. Einstein and his wonderful revelations, he said he got it from a transcendent source of knowledge. In Nikola Tesla, who created your alternating current in your wall socket, also said that he could access a transcendent source of knowledge where he could actually find an invention he'd want. He could take it apart in his mind, find the flaws, put it back together. He never called it the Akashic records, but that's basically the same system. And if Cayce, Einstein, or Tesla can reach that those pieces of knowledge without learning it from a university, then so can you. So I'm excited to talk about that and help people get that and knowledge when they're ready to open up to some of those questions.
Yeah, no, let's talk about it because the Akashic records are used in everyday life.
Yes.
In all kinds of ways, and you just talked about, there are soul memories are stored there, our life's paths are stored there, how we dissect things, take things apart, like you said. Great scientists have done that, taken things apart and then putting things together because they've accessed these records. There's just all kinds of things that are stored there in this invisible, etheric world.
Yes.
It's a world of lights where knowledge is stored, and any of us can access that, and we do. We access it really on a daily basis, and some of us don't even realize it's called the Akashic records. We don't know that's what it is. It also contains soul contracts where before we come into this physical body, we decide when we are going to enter into this physical body, called birth, and
Yes.
when we decide to let the physical body dissipate, called death. And the eternal soul, the eternal consciousness remains and lives on. But all these records are stored up there. And did you want to add something?
Well, an example that's been documented is they've taken people to the Akashic records and they have repeated word for word what their parents were saying to them or saying to each other when they brought them home from the hospital as a baby. And this is supposedly before they had communication skills. And they'd go to the parents and they'd go, "How did you know we were talking about that?" So if that kind of detailed information is available through the Akashic records, just imagine what else is out there that you can access. You can find out some of the decisions you made before you were born, about the body, the family, what you wanted to accomplish, what challenges you would take on in this lifetime. So it's a very amazing way to get certainly personal information, but as Einstein and some of those have done, you can also get very detailed information about the universe and how it works and what exactly is there that we can access as human beings in this three-dimensional world.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna use a great example, and you guys will have to excuse me because I don't watch with baseball, but the World Series just got done, and the Chicago Cubs just won, and there was a very pinnacle baseball player. I want to say his name is Charlie Mayer, and I'm sorry guys if I have that name wrong. Charlie Meyer or maybe somebody like that. And I just saw this on Facebook. He was one of the main players that assisted the Chicago Cubs in winning the World Series, and a pinnacle part of it. And they showed something that he had written when he was in high school. He specifically put 2016 that he was going to be playing with the Chicago Cubs and they were going to win the World Series. And this is years back. Wow. That he was in high school. So they just showed this all over. Is that right? If you guys want to make any comments and help me out if that's the right player that I am speaking of and what his name is, that would be great. But that's just kind of an example of what we're talking about right here. He already knew at the time when he was in high school, he had tapped into this without his knowledge, probably without even realizing that it was called the Akashic Records, but he was tapping into his life's path for this lifetime and knew that he was going to win the World Series with the Chicago Cubs. Is that a good example?
And that's a great example. And everything that's ever happened in our universe from the past, present, and some people, like you just gave an example, believe the future is available. And for me, it's wonderful that we can access this, whatever we call it. Some people have a hard time with the name Akashic Records. In the more modern scientific world, it's called the zero-point field. But it's basically the same thing, where all knowledge is stored. And so whatever you call it, the important part is to know that you can actually access that kind of information and have it available anytime you want. In my book, there's a couple of chapters showing people what the Akashic Records is all about and how to access it. There's also at the back of the book 19 steps where people can actually utilize the different information in the book to actually make changes. And certainly being able to access that reservoir of knowledge is one of those wonderful things that I would like to see all of humanity accomplish from time to time, anyhow.
Yeah.
And I'd like your feedback if you do get the book or read the book and then tap into that and you get some amazing information. Please forward that on to me at the website. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. And that's great. The other thing I want to point out is I think that we underestimate what this really is. This is like what I talked about, knowledge that we are tapping in constantly on a daily basis, and it can be through meditation. And meditation can be, to me anyway, and it can come to you in several ways, as long as you're like zoning out. And that can be for many of you working out at the gym, going for a walk. It can be sitting completely still and silencing and decompressing. It can come to you when you're completely focused on a project. It can even be when you're in the bathroom by yourself and it's completely quiet.
Or the shower.
Yeah, or the shower, right? And so there's many ways, as long as you're completely focused and almost like in that zoned out space. I really feel that that's when the reservoir of knowledge is coming to us. All of a sudden, if you're getting all of a sudden, you're in the bathroom putting makeup on or getting ready, whatever, and then all of a sudden an idea comes to you and it's like, whoa, that's a fabulous idea. I should definitely do that. I'm going to move on that. Or something that you've been working on, a project, or something with friends and family, all of a sudden you come to a solution with something. And you just it really hits you in the heart and in the head going, man, that sounds fabulous. I'm going to do that. Oh, I just found the answer to what I'm looking for. I'm going to do that. That's when you're downloading and getting information from the Akashic records.
And next time I'm at the mirror putting my makeup on, I'll pay attention to that and see what comes. My history is that I was a hypnotherapist, and I would, since about 1995, when I realized that there was a world before we incarnate that we can tap into with my clients. I've probably had 2,000 to 3,000 spiritual journeys where people have actually accessed the Akashic records in what I call a two-person altered state of consciousness. The hypnosis the person getting the information goes into an altered state, and the other person, me sometimes, or a friend, is the one who will direct you onto more information, because usually it's so wonderful when we meditate. We can get there, we get a little bit of information, but whatever it is so beautiful and so wonderful and so full of insights that we stay there. And it's very hard to move on yourself when you're enjoying the moment, being in the spiritual realm and getting some information. But that's also included in the book if people are interested in how to do that.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I think, again, I'm just going back and forth because I think people are going to ask us, well, this reservoir of knowledge, where does this all come from and how do I tap into it? Well, let's not go into just being so super focused of how to, and just trusting that it does come to you. And if you're still your monkey mind is really obsessed with how to tap into it, and you don't trust what you're already getting, you can always ask for guidance. I mean, we are surrounded by this incredible invisible world and connected to source energy, and we can just simply ask. And we have to ask for permission, but we can ask them to intervene, and we can always say something like, I really want evidence, or I really would like you all to show me how I can tap into this, and I am going to allow for your divine intervention to show me physical, tangible, material evidence and confirmation or validation somehow that I am getting access to these Akashic records, or this reservoir of knowledge to come through me. And I'm just going to trust and allow, and I ask you all to assist me and intervene in lowering my resistance and allowing and trusting that this reservoir of knowledge is coming in. And it's something that we have to allow to come in and ask for intervention. And some of these things come into our mind, and we think they're imagination, and they are. They are. This is where great ideas come from. Everything starts with imagination. So you got to drop some of those belief patterns, right? When we were younger, we'd have society tell us, parents, family, schools tell us, well, that's just your imagination, and you need to, brush that off. Well, I'm sorry, but let that go. Let that old belief system go of it being your imagination. You must let your imagination in, because that's where that reservoir of knowledge comes in.
And maybe it'd be helpful to talk to people about some different things that you can access through the Akashic Records. There's some certain things that are going on in our life that may not make a lot of sense, and you can go to the Akashic Records and get the knowledge that you need to be able to understand it and put it aside. A quick example is the doctors referred a young girl to me years ago, and she was having convulsions, and the doctors could not find any reason for it. There was nothing physical, and so they referred her to me, and we went to the source of the problem through the Akashic Records, and what she found is that during the 1960s, she was young when we were doing this, but in the 60s she got involved in the drug trade or the drug culture, and she overdosed on drugs, and her last moments on earth were doing convulsions on the floor, and what she was doing was carrying forward that memory into this lifetime so that she would remember how out of control she was at that time, and so she wouldn't make the same mistakes this lifetime. And what was amazing, I followed through on her 3 years later, and she had completely given up any symptoms of the convulsions. So it's that kind of thing. If something doesn't really make sense in your life, maybe things aren't going well for you financially or whatever, you can go into the Akashic Records and find out exactly what's going on. And what's exciting is this isn't me telling you what to think. These are your memories that you're actually tapping into, that you can actually utilize for your own healing. So when they're your memories, you know they're true, and you can go ahead and make sure that they allow you to progress spiritually from that point on.
Yeah.
Do you have other examples?
Yeah, I do, and this is great. I had a nanny who was taking care of my youngest, and this was a few years back, and she was 17 years old, and she started telling me how she had an incredible, all she drank was soda. She drank soda or juice. She would not drink water, and I don't know how the discussion came up, but she was telling me about how she doesn't drink water, and I was kind of curious about it, so I kind of asked her, oh, why is that? She said, I'm very scared of water. As a matter of fact, I can't even barely take a shower. It freaks me out to even put my head under water for even a minute. I'm scared that something's going to happen. And right away, of course, doing the work that I do, I mean, I'm tapping into the Akashic Records, and I had seen right away that she had drowned. She had drowned in one of her previous lifetimes, and it was a very tragic death in her drowning. And so it was very natural to see that this young lady, she didn't have any recollection in this lifetime of drowning or having any problems with water in this lifetime, but I could see immediately that she had drowned. And so I was explaining to her, well, you had drowned, and it was very tragic, and it was from another lifetime, and that's what's coming in to your soul memory and cellular memory in this lifetime, and this is why you're so scared of water. And it was like the biggest aha moment. She had the biggest, it resonated with her so strong. It was almost like she went into that lifetime and could recall all of those memories. And it was just one simple thing that I told her that triggered that memory immediately. Now, I followed up with her, and there's been some other things that have come up, that she's had from other lifetimes. But I feel from what she was explaining to me, it really helped her give an understanding and a healing around what the water situation was. So, yeah another
Well,
example.
and there's other examples that come up quite a bit. I've had people come in and say, no matter what I do, I don't seem to be able to accumulate any money. I've got a good job, but I'm not motivated. All of a sudden, I lose interest in it, and I'll move on to something else, and we'll go back to the source of that problem, and we'll find that in a previous lifetime they took a vow of poverty, and they had a wonderful accolades for being in the ministry and all that, and so this wonderful attachment to this vow of poverty is continuing along, and as soon as they realize that they can make a change, that they can change their mind and say, okay, I no longer want a vow of poverty, then their whole lifetime turns around and they're able to accomplish and accumulate and build wealth and have a family and all the things that they're looking forward to.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just going to piggyback on that because there are obviously things, yes, that we can identify with right away that will assist us in the healing immediately, because once the memory is triggered, it automatically heals us, and because we can resonate and understand it right away. And then, like you were talking about, the vows of poverty, some of you that are kind of new on this journey, yes, you can access those records, and sometimes it requires just a little bit more to understand how to release and clear vows of poverty or clear other vows that we've taken in relationships around chastity and celibacy as well. And that's the kind of work that I do. I do ceremonies actually and assist people in releasing and clearing vows of poverty and chastity, celibacy, obedience, silence, self-worth, releasing energies and soul contracts with other people. So these are things that you can learn on your own, but I also do that. So I'm just letting you guys know if that's something that you require further assistance with, I can assist with that, and you can find that on my website, sophia-rashkin.com.
And I want to say, when I talk about some of the clients that I've had and some of the amazing healings that have gone on, with the book being released, I don't have time to take on new clients at this point. So I'd highly recommend Sophia to be able to help people with their spiritual journeys. The thing that I know is that we can get there on our own through meditation, some of those, but it's very helpful to have a second person to tap into the guides and the higher power and the Akashic records themselves to be able to progress somebody along. So if you're interested in having that two-person altered state of consciousness we were talking about, then I'd recommend Sophia highly.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So let's see, what else? I mean, there's just so much to share. I mean, everything is just stored in this.
Yes. I think the very powerful thing that happened with me is there's kind of an idea in our society that we choose our family as we incarnate. And I was very intent to disprove that absurd notion that we choose our family, because my dad was alcoholic, my mom was crazy, 3 out of 4 of my half-siblings were hoarders and alcoholics and all kinds of things, and I was the only landlord in the nation that would put up with their craziness. And so I look back on that and I go, you've got to be kidding. Why would I pick that? And when I went to the Akashic Records and remembered when I was getting ready to incarnate, much to my chagrin, I did realize that this family was going to give me the most growth in this lifetime, and that it was important for me to go in there. And I knew it could have been overwhelming, and I may have ended up in a fetal position somewhere along the line, but I didn't, and I learned from it, and I accomplished some great things in this lifetime. So for me, it was a good decision to go into that family. But it's that kind of information. You know, what was my purpose in life? What did I want to accomplish? What challenges did I take on? I almost died as a little boy from carbon monoxide poisoning, and Sophia will tell you, everybody in that family, you didn't know the family, but you know me, shook for the rest of their lives. Some kind of nerve damage from the carbon monoxide. So it was certainly thing that I chose coming into this lifetime. I did nothing to harm the furnace to make it happen. So I agreed to it. Those kind of things, once you realize you had control over this, you agreed to it, you can change your mind. Perhaps once the nerve damage is there, I can't change my mind. But if we're here and we haven't done something like that, we always have free will to do things differently if we want. We'll learn that and maybe perhaps come back in another lifetime and learn that particular lesson. But it's a very powerful thing to say, we're not a victim in
That's
this
right.
life.
That's right.
We created or we chose it. And so once we're in that position, then we set about learning what we can from it, rather than wondering why me, or didn't happen to my friend, my best friend, why did it happen to me? That sort of thing goes out the window, and you just concentrate on, okay, now what do I need to learn from this? And then once you learn that, similar to what we were talking about earlier, it goes away, and then you can get on with the next lesson. Unfortunately, there's usually a next lesson that we have to tap into.
Yeah, it's a very healing position and a very empowering position when you can decide and be open and allow yourself to access the records
Yes.
and gain that understanding. And I can relate very much. I mean, not the same situation, but we all have our own lessons, right? So we all have our own stories, right? And so I was raised in what we would label an abusive, a violent household. And my dad, who has passed away actually earlier this year, January this year, and I assisted in guiding him cross over to the other side, is what we call it. And what humans still label as when he died. In January this year, and I didn't have a relationship with him for over 20 years prior to his passing, and but I had two decisions to make. I had two paths to go down. I could have decided, okay, I am going to be this very angry, bitter woman because of the way I was raised, and go down this direction. Or I can decide to ask, what is the meaning behind all of this? Why did I choose this, and how can I heal from this? What am I here to learn from all of this? So I decided to go down that path because I did go down the very angry, bitter path for quite a long time. And I was miserable. I was depressed, I was miserable, I was mean to a lot of people around me, and I didn't like myself. And I was sick and tired of myself. And so I decided, okay, I want to wake up from this nightmare that I'm in, and instead of living this hellish life, we have heaven and hell. We make it right here on this planet, right now in this lifetime. We can decide our heaven and hell is right here. I decided I do not want to continue to go down this hell. I want to be in heaven. So show me, how do I be in heaven? And when I asked that question, all these things started appearing to me, and options, and why was I here? I was here to learn about compassion. I was here to learn about forgiveness. I was here to learn that the people in my lives that brought all kinds of triggers inside of me, such as why was I getting emotional and angry and upset about and frustrated about certain things. Something was triggering me. Why are these triggers coming to me? And I was asking these questions. It wasn't just any longer allowing and being in the emotion. And yes, you should have let the emotions come in. That they're there to serve you. They're there to serve you to ask these questions if you want them to. If you choose to have the answers, they are there for that reason. And so I allowed myself to ask the questions and say, why? I want to know why this is triggering me. What is it in this lifetime or another lifetime, and why is it still here? Because I would like to clear it and dissipate it and let go of and learn my lesson quickly and move on to what's next. And when you go into that space, you are shown all kinds of options, and you can make decisions and from the buffet, the menu, the things that are on the buffet, and decide, well, am I going to learn the lesson easy? Am I going to learn the lesson hard? Is it going to be painful? Is it going to be smooth? And And I really, really, and sometimes the lesson comes many times until we get it. But I was shown these opportunities, and I say they're all opportunities, and we can choose how we feel about them. That is the free will that we have on the planet, and so that assisted me in forgiving my father and seeing him as the divine soul being that he was here in his physical body, and how he served me in allowing me the opportunity to learn and grow and learn about the compassion, and seeing him for who he was as a child, how he was raised, why was he showing up in my life the way he was, and also learning to forgive him. Learning to forgive him also gave me the opportunity to forgive myself, and how I showed up in many ways in not only his life but my life as well, with the people that I wasn't so nice to, and just love, just being in love, and feeling that love for him. Now feeling that love of, oh my gosh, you came into my life to serve this lesson. You volunteered and decided that you were going to show up in this body, in this lifetime with me, and as you know, how fun is it to decide I am going to be the abuser of this child? Who wants that job? I mean, so these were opportunities. I had to look at it from his side and how he played, and that assisted me in the healing process and being on this journey and sharing my experiences, and hopefully it inspires some of you out there to kind of ask these better questions and choose what you want in your own lives.
Yeah, and somebody on Facebook just told me the camera is sideways, so pardon me while I set this up and put it this way. I hope that's better. I think it's important to say that sometimes when we're struggling with something, we go to the source and we find out that it's a past life or something we agreed to as we're coming in. But a lot of times they're just things that are going on in everyday life that are a little bit difficult for people to understand. And I may have just disconnected from that, moving it around. Oh well, if you can't hear me anymore, we'll post this from Sophia. And actually it did come up canceled. Sorry about that, guys. Anyhow, if there's nothing that is going on in a past life, sometimes it's just things that we do in this lifetime that don't make sense. The science of neuroplasticity says that the more we think about something, the more we kind of groove a rut in our neurons. So if we're agonizing over something, resentment or anger or some of these things will actually make it worse for us into the future. And the more we practice love and compassion, like she was talking about, the more it'll come up and tell us that there's another way of doing it. And the more we love, the more often it comes up into our lives, and pretty soon we're actually changing day to day everything that's important to us, and our whole lifetime and our whole future is better. There's chapters in the book that actually talk about that, so people get an idea of exactly what they can do to change their future from this point on, but also how to make permanent changes in other things in their lives. Abundance, there's vows of chastity that interfere with somebody's intimacy. They just don't connect with another human being because of that. Things like that are just easily gotten rid of, and that's, for me, one of the beauties of this. It's instantaneous.
Yes, I agree with you, and this is great. And we are now, let's see, 35 past the hour, and
about time to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, let's look and see if there's any questions, any comments, guys. If you have any questions or comments, or just want to say hi and give a shout out, that's fine too. We'd like to acknowledge you, and we appreciate you being here with us. It's up to you if you want to even touch your phone and you want me to.
No, I think I'll just post your version of it.
Okay, so let me just let's see. Yvette's out there. She's okay. And then Hey, Yvette, we'll get to you. Pedro's, thanks for sharing the light. Thanks, Pedro.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and sharing your light with us as well. And we appreciate you being here. Joel is here. Rudy is here. Let's see. I know some of you. Gail, hey, my good friend Gail. I hope you're still out there. I missed you. And Yvette, this is total awesomeness. Thanks. You are welcome. Tori Smith, thanks for joining us. And Yvette's another comment. Yes, that's great to understand. And guys, is there anything else that you want to share? And
I think we shared it all. If there's any questions, please contact Sophia, or on my website there's a contact list if somebody wants to send me a message or whatever. This is my life, so never feel like you're going to bother me. I just really don't have time to put 3 to 4 hours into a session anymore with the book and promoting all the speaking opportunities that I have to do. So, but I'm always there for anybody that needs me, and I know Sophia is also.
yeah, and we will be, I know, at some point here, sharing the stage live here very soon, and traveling the country and coming into your area. And if we don't catch you, you guys can catch us here. We are going to do several more series, and like we talked about, there's several chapters in Rich's book, Sacred Quantum Metaphysics, and we're going to be covering a lot of them. So we have a lot more coming up, a lot more work coming up together, and we appreciate you guys joining us today. If you guys need to get a hold of me, I am Sophia, at Sophia, SOPHIA Rashkin, RASHKIN.com, Sophia-Rashkin.com.
And sacredquantummetaphysics.com is where you can get a lot of free information. There's a free chapter, ways to connect with other metaphysicians in your area, things like that, and a calendar of events. So there's lots of things that are coming up. One I'm really excited about is a scientific group is wanting me to speak as a keynote at their luncheon in the 18th in Boulder, Colorado, and that's on the website in that events calendar. It's open to the public, but we're going to talk about more of the scientific aspects of this book and how that relates to some of the ancient wisdom, but coming from the point of view of quantum mechanics and string theory and things that may sound intimidating, but believe me, they're very easy to understand once you connect them to the metaphysical principles.
Yep, excellent book, and thank you. And it's great for beginners, intermediate, and experts. So don't be intimidated by the title, guys. It's for all walks of life, wherever you are at on your journey.
Everybody who reads it says it's very easy to understand. It's written in everyday language. It's not full of scientific jargon or formulas or anything that could interfere with you getting the basic knowledge.
Yes, I concur with that. And we're going to wrap it up, guys. Anything last? No?
No, just thanks for being here, everybody. And sorry to my Facebook people that got cut off. We'll figure this out eventually. This is one proof that none of us are perfect, and we're all in this process learning. So
Yes.
We'll get it. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for joining us today. And we're going to look on our calendars and see when Rich and I are going to be able to do this. I have a feeling it's going to be kind of towards the end of the month. That's when I'm available next. If sooner, we can try to do that. We'll look at our calendars
Okay.
and figure it out. But thanks, guys, for joining us today. We appreciate your time. We know that you value your time, and thanks for spending these last 45 minutes with us. Much love and many blessings to all of you.
Thanks for being there.
Bye for now.